Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by Nitro Circus rider, 15-time X Games gold medalist, Jared McNeil. Jared, I don't think it gets much cooler than participating in the X Games. You're such a badass, quite frankly. The videos I've seen of the stunts you do, I'm terrified just watching them, like sweating, watching on my phone. But I guess if you want to be as cool as you got to start early because you started riding dirt bikes at 2.5 years old in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Started super young, Laura. Thanks for having me on here. It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, working with the Trump family, that's pretty cool. So yeah,
I'm glad you think so. Some don't think so, Jared. So we'll take that.
No,
thank you.
I don't think so. I think you guys are a normal American family. So
thank
you.
Lots
of love over here. But yeah, no, definitely grew up on a dairy farm at a young age. Started riding at 2.5. So yeah, super young, but I guess just being a farm kid, that's kind of what we like to do is kind of have fun.
Well, I got to tell you, so my kids are 3 and 5, and my husband all the time is like, I think it's time, like we get the kids out on a dirt bike. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Now, my kids are older than you were when you first started riding a dirt bike. Were your parents like terrified by this? What was happening?
Honestly, my parents are pretty supportive.
They were like, this seems safe.
Yeah, I think the backlash was from my grandparents at the start. They were like, "What are you doing, letting them ride those things?" And I guess growing up on the farm, we have 4-wheelers and 2-wheel motorcycles. So Dad and them were used to using them around the farm. So it was just like getting a smaller version for us kids. And so I started off on a PW50, and it's just like super young, 2.5 years old, and I have an older brother, so. Having an older brother, I think
that'll do it. The older siblings will like, they'll push you into whatever.
They broke the ice.
I know. Wait, now, what about injuries? Did you get injured as a kid doing this?
Yeah, definitely. My first broken bone was actually on a BMX bike. I broke a collarbone. That was my first broken bone. I think I was 9 years old when I first broke on a motorcycle. So I think I was about 6 or 7 when I green stick fractured my shoulder on a BMX bike, and then I broke my leg when I was 9. That was my first like major break though. That was like it was a bit worse than say the collarbone, but 9 years old, and then I've had many broken bones. Broke my back twice. Dislocated hips, broken wrists 3 or 4 times. Legs, arms, ankles. Done a lot of internal damage. I've a lot of internal organs, which aren't good. So.
Yeah, you need those. Those are rather important. Well, this is interesting. So first of all, you're kind of proving my point as to why, like, perhaps the dirt bikes. I'm totally down with my kids being on dirt bikes, by the way. But I feel like they need to be a little more sound on other things, like say a bicycle first. So, but I will say this: maybe we should compare scars. I don't know if you could see. I have a scar there where I broke both of my wrists.
I got on the same spot.
Oh yeah, on the right arm. I love that for us. So I broke both of my wrists like 3 weeks before my wedding, riding horses. So. I give you a hard time about riding the dirt bikes, but truth be told, I have also, check this one out, fractured my collarbone and had to have surgery on that as well.
So that's not riding a dirt bike. That's not a dirt bike.
So I don't know why I'm giving you...
Which is kind of dangerous too. Like my cousin, he's a Australian champion horse rider. He's won the Melbourne Cup a few years in a row now, and he rides horses, and that's another part of our family. We grew up with race horses, so it's like, my cousin's a professional racehorse, so I've seen him get flung around, break his leg on the horses and that, and I've been out there crashing my dirt bike, breaking bones, and I think it comes down to just like maybe the family you grow up in. We kind of live outdoors, doing fun things, so whether that's horse riding, motorcycle riding, adventuring out, hiking, doing crazy stuff like that. I think that's kind of in our blood. So I think it's inevitable for our kids to do that. Like I have a 1-year-old now, and I take him out to the garage, and he just instantly puts his arms out and he wants to hop on the motorcycle. And you pull out the rocking Strider bike, and he's out there wanting to get on that. And it's just
wow. And a year old, is he walking yet?
Yeah, he's walking, and I mean he's pretty talented for a 14-month-old. I tell you that. He's got a lot of talent already.
If he's like his dad, he'll be an adrenaline junkie. Obviously, this is what's happening in the entire family, I suspect. If you've got a cousin that's like into racehorses, everybody in your family is like a crazy adrenaline junkie, right? You're obviously going to pass that down to your son. How does your wife feel about this, by the way?
My wife, that was leading into this. So my wife actually comes from off-road racing family. So her father is actually like a legend in the motocross industry. So Destry, her brother's a professional racer right now. So what can you do, right?
So like, your kid literally has no other option. Like if your child is for some reason just like into books or coloring or something, that's going to be a disaster in your family. We got to get this kid on some sort of a machine or a bike or something very soon.
He's loving it. I take him out in my tractors. I have them on the property. I've got some tractors, so I take him out there. He loves being in those. He loves being on the dirt bikes, the bicycles. So I think we're good. But you think your kids can grow up and they want to do something else, and you just got to be supportive of it. So I hope he enjoys dirt bikes and he wants to get into it. But whatever he does will be fun. So
well, see, I think about this a lot, and obviously you're a parent of a young child, so it's all a learning process. Like you don't go into this really like knowing what the heck you're doing with these kids, right? I mean, and I'll be the first to admit that. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Whatever it is my kids get into, I'm going to love. But like, truth be told, there are some things that I really want them to do. Like, I want them to excel in the sports that I did as a kid, because that's fun, right? Watching your child do the things that you did, and then you could kind of coach them. Although I have had experience with that in the past. My dad coached me in a couple of things. And I mean, if it weren't for him, I quite frankly would have never gotten a back handspring. Side note. But it's tough. Yep. It's tough whenever your parent is doing it. But I'm with you. I hope my kids do the same stuff I do. I'm sure you hope your son is into dirt bikes. We
like doing outdoor stuff. Like that's what we like to do as a family. So going out to the desert as a family will be fun. Taking him out, riding, exploring, take him to look at things that just motorcycle riding gets to take kids out and people out to see parts of the world that maybe you can't hike to them or you can't ride bicycles to them. But we go so far out into the desert, we get to see really cool, unique places, or go into the forest and see really cool stuff. So I want to take my kid out and experience that stuff with him. I want to take him racing and see him win stuff and do well. But yeah, like I said, if as long as he wants to do it, I'll give him the right tools and the safe way to do it and teach him the right techniques. But at the end of it, he's got to want to do it. I don't want to force him into doing anything.
Well, you can't, because the second you try too hard to get your kid to do something, they almost go the opposite way. This happened with me in basketball. Because my dad still to this day plays like full court basketball. He's like an incredible basketball player. And when I was growing up, he really wanted me to play basketball. I'm 5'11". It makes sense. I was into all different sports. But honestly, I think part of my dad wanting me so badly to play basketball, I was like, I think I'm going to be a cheerleader. Like, nah, I don't think so. So, like, you got to be careful of that, because that could happen.
Yeah, you got to be careful, too, with, like, posting stuff on social media. Nowadays, you'll have all the people telling you how to teach
everyone's an expert on social media.
Oh, it's
Didn't
crazy.
You know, Jared?
They're like, to the point where they're like, hey, let him choose what he wants to do. And I'm like thinking to myself, so what do I do? Like put him in his bedroom, take all of the toys, take all of the stuff out of his environment, take him away from motorcycles and all that stuff, and then say to him, have fun, buddy. I hope you can find something to do. Because that's what like the corner you get pushed into. Like people make you feel like you can't do things with your kids, and they're always out there to get you and make sure, has he got his helmet? Has he got this?
Oh my God. Literally everything. These people, and let me tell you a little bit about these people too, Jared. These are the people who have absolutely nothing to do. These are people that haven't even seen a dirt bike in person in their entire life. Yeah. These people who are telling you what to do with your kid, they have no idea what they're talking about. They have nothing else to do. So they go online and they're like, let me just get all in this person's business who I don't know, who I have no idea about. It's amazing. Really amazing.
The adrenaline rush I get from riding and motorcycling is something that person would physically never feel.
No.
So is it like their comment and their reaction from the person that they're commenting to, that's their adrenaline rush. Like the most adrenaline that these people get is the reaction from one of us replying and getting a bite, right?
Which is why, do you actually engage with these people? I don't even engage with them.
Yeah, sometimes we do.
Oh, you do?
My wife and I get pretty, we try and be real smart about it and like really articulate it, like make it be in a nice way, but make them just sound really stupid.
And that should be easy, right?
And half the time, all of our followers that like are the good ones, they tune in and just tear them apart. So I don't need to say anything bad anymore.
Yeah,
it's just they do it for me. So we just do these like we've been doing these like motivational memes. So it's like basically taking all the quotes from all the people that have said mean things to me or my family. And we're using them and making like motivational like things. You have to see it's on my Instagram.
I would love to. I should take a note from you. That sounds very interesting. Yeah. I don't know how long it would take me to put all mine down though.
You take all the bullies. You'd have a long list, but you take all the bullies and you just take what they said, and you just literally post it up and get people's reactions to how they've treated you. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
We did a little something like that in the 2020 campaign where we all read like mean tweets that people had posted about us. It's actually the funniest thing you've ever done. There's so many things that obviously I couldn't even repeat if I wanted to because it's that foul and disgusting, these people. But I like the idea that you just kind of post it up there and let everybody else attack them. I take the approach, like, I'm not even going to give these people that adrenaline that you're talking about. So I don't respond at all. Like, you haven't affected my life in the slightest way. So congratulations on wasting your time typing something nasty under my like Instagram post about my child. Like, what a great human being.
Yeah, that's good.
These people are sad.
If you can do that, that's a good way to be, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I have to. Otherwise, God, I could just spend all day with these losers, but we won't even go there. I got to ask you about the X Games. I mean, like, just casual X Games champion. You've won, like, all the medals. Tell me about that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely, a kid from Australia. I'm from a very rural, small town. I was born in a population of 3,000 and spent my next half of I've just split my life into 3/4, I guess. My first 10 years was in a small population of 3,000. Next population I moved to was like 9,000, and then I came to America.
Wow.
So the last place I lived in of 9,000, we didn't have a traffic light in town. We, very small town. We did have a McDonald's though, to kind of solidify it.
There's always a McDonald's, like always.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so super small town, and growing up racing, and that was always my like childhood dream, was to race in America. And I kind of when around my 16 years old, I was messing around with freestyle, and I started making some money doing freestyle, and I was racing full time as well. And a lot of my parents financially didn't have a lot of money at that point. We lost a bit of money, so to keep me racing, I had to take my freestyle money to keep my racing program going. And then 2010 rolled around, and I was just like, why am I funding my racing when I could just be pocketing freestyle money and enjoy riding more and go out and put on a show for people and make people happy and put a smile on people's faces by doing freestyle? So I was like, all right, I'm going to quit racing and I'm going to just focus on freestyle. And the Nitro Circus actually was the first year in 2010 when Nitro Circus was a live show. So a few of us riders previously did Krusty Demons, and some of those riders, we were lucky enough that we got picked in to come to Nitro. So I was lucky. I was a group of those riders that got to come and ride for Nitro Circus. So 2010 rolled around and I was riding for Nitro Circus, and one of the guys from X Games at that time was coming back from, they had X Games China back in the day. And so one of the guys was coming back from X Games China, and they called through to see Nitro Circus live because it was brand new. It was a big show. Travis Pastrana this was his baby. So he's been working on this for a long time. And he came and watched the show, and Travis Pastrana was like, hey, you should watch this young kid from Australia. I'm known for my whip, which is getting the bike. We do backflips, but I can get the bike without doing the backflip. I can get the bike upside down, or I can get the bike completely 180 backwards. And that's a discipline at X Games. That's something that you can get a medal for at X Games. And Travis was like, hey, can you watch this kid and see if he's good enough to get an invite? And so he watched me. And then around end of June 2010, I got a phone call from Travis saying, hey, look for your emails. You're going to receive something, just so you know. And kind of just didn't really say X Games. It said, just be on the lookout. And then I literally got an email within the next couple of days, and it was like an invite to X Games, which is like a kid from small country Australia to get to come to America for the first time to go to compete at X Games. It's like I'm getting goosebumps. It's like the coolest thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
Like I had the American flag on my wall when I was 7, 8 years old. I drew it in my books, and America always had the cool big trucks and tractors and
everything's big here.
Girls, right? Like we always like being an Aussie, we always like the American accent, just like you guys probably like the Aussie accent.
See, I have to ask you about that. Hold on. See, I really want an accent. This is like, and I know like I'll never technically have one because I sound like me, right? There's nothing else. But tell me about this. Do Australians like American accents? Because to me, we sound like, I don't really know. Yes?
It's funny now being married to an American and just dating Americans and then being married to one now. It's like it's not like
we lost our luster now.
If I hear a Southern accent, if I hear a real Southern accent, I'm like, that's an accent, right?
Yeah.
But like the California typical American accent just sounds normal to me now. Like it's not like I'm not like, oh, yeah, she's got a good voice or he's got a good voice. It's like if I hear someone from the South, yes, but now the American accent's pretty normal to me. So, but you do have an accent to to Aussies or other people.
Love that.
Yeah, but it's it's one of those things. So
amazing.
Yeah, but
it's so cool that you even got to go to the X Games, right? And then you
just
went.
to get the opportunity to go.
Yeah. Did you expect to do as well as you ultimately did? Because you totally kicked ass.
Yeah. So my first one, I got a silver.
Did you expect to get anything?
I didn't know what I was gonna get, but after I competed it, I think like back then it was a really weird judging system. It was like text voting and stuff. So back then I didn't have a name. So the guys that had names had a lot more pull than I did. So I basically lost my first X Games. I probably should have won my very first X Games, but because of the way it was judged and stuff, it was a lot harder. So then the thing, when I first got my first gold medal at X Games, that was a few years in, but they started changing the system of how they judged that event, and then it started becoming more legit. And it was the guys that were winning or me were winning for actually doing the best whip, right? So it took me a few years to get it, but eventually I got my first gold. But to get a silver at my very first X Games is like, it's pretty insane. Yeah,
I mean, I would
pretty
take
cool.
it. I'll just throw it out.
Yeah.
If anybody feels like I could qualify, I'm here for the silver too. So just let me know what we need to do. So you obviously started doing kind of all the stunt stuff because it paid you more money, right? Like it was hard to continue racing because you didn't make that much money doing it. Which do you like doing more? Do you like the stunt stuff more?
Yeah, just different, like just a different riding style. Like it's just
Yeah.
you don't have to you still have to be physically fit and healthy, but in a different way. You don't have to be as gnarly as somebody racing, but then you have to be mentally well, because you the tricks that we're trying to do, like muscle memory is like a massive part of free cross.
Yeah.
So having the mental ability to overcome it, and then the physical like muscle memory to do it repetitively. That's the key to it. Racing is like holding onto a bike for 30 minutes.
Out. Just go hard.
So it's a different demand on your body.
Yeah.
So yeah, just different. But I like freestyle, because when I was racing, I loved doing whips over the jumps and like getting kind of a reaction from the fans on the sidelines, or like when I come back into the pits, people would say, "Oh, that was sweet," you know. So I liked showing off as a kid. I always liked showing off. So for me, getting into freestyle was my way to just show off. Like I have a free canvas.
Yeah, and you got paid for it. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
It's amazing. I'm living the American dream from riding freestyle motocross, literally.
Amazing.
Like it's.
So you did you always want to come to America?
Yeah, 100%.
It sounds like it. Is that like it's so odd for me, obviously growing up here in America, but I mean, you know, we always talk about ourselves as, you know, we're the greatest country in the world, we're this, we're that. But I mean, it really seems like, look, if you live in different parts of the world, like America's kind of it. Like this is a bit of the pinnacle here. Do you still feel that way now, having lived in America?
Maybe only if half or 40% of Americans really realize what they had, right?
That's true. That's true.
You know, I come from a great country. Australia is an amazing place of opportunity. Like it's honestly the exact same as America. It's a multicultural place. We're literally all immigrants.
Right.
And we have natives, Aboriginals, but as culture, we are multicultural. We have the same things in life that we like to go for. So we're very, very similar. Like it's the land of opportunity, just like America is. It's the same. Australia is the exact same, but America just has a little bit more. If you work harder for it, it can go so much further than Australia can. And that's not to say, like in certain disciplines, you can make it really far in Australia. You can.
Right.
And there's guys that I compete against that are Aussies that don't want to live in America. They still live in Australia, and they're still doing really well, and they're killing it. I wanted to live the American dream. I wanted to come to America. I wanted to live here, and I knew that by living here, I would get the opportunities that I have now. Like, I mean, I get to represent Caterpillar, which is a massive earth moving company, which is like, if you had asked me when I was a kid if I could have represented them, that would be like, what? Like, no way. That'll never happen. You know, Monster Energy, Yamaha, like these are massive companies. Fly Racing, like these are companies that they put their brand on my back. Like they support me, and to be able to have that in America is like, I used to draw Yamaha logos in my school books as a kid, and my Caterpillar, you know, like that's. And so now those companies,
you like willed this to happen. This is sort of amazing.
It's like manifesting it. Really. Yeah, but not knowing it was gonna work out. I don't know why it worked out, but it did. But it's like manifesting. Like you talk to my mum and stuff. Like I loved America. Like it's where I wanted to be. You know, and even living over here, I've lived away from my parents since I was 18 years old. So
is your family still in Australia?
Yeah, I moved here on my 19th birthday. So I had my first X Games silver medal was on my 19th birthday, which was on my birthday, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, I've been here since going back and forth, but pretty much full time since like 13, 14 I've been here, but I was always spending more time in the US from 10 to 14 anyway. But yeah, I moved away from them at a young age, which, you know, parents like probably wouldn't even let their kid go do that. That's, you know, I've traveled ever since I was super young racing, I traveled all over Indonesia racing at a young age, and I'd been over there with a guy, Bruce, when I was a kid, so without my parents, and then obviously traveling with Krusty Demons in 2009, which was like a really wild group of boys to travel with back in that day when I was 16. So, just to be around that crew and around all of that atmosphere is absolutely insane. So, yeah, it's just something, I guess, it's growing up. I've always dreamed of being in America. My parents have always supported that. And when it finally came to, it's like, my parents supported me 100%. So
I love it. That's so cool to hear. I mean, you're right. You kind of manifested all this to happen. An American flag on your wall, drawing the Yamaha logo like that. That's kind of crazy that now here you are. The other thing about you that I find so fascinating, Jared, is you kind of mentioned it at the beginning. You grew up on a farm in Australia, yep. Right? Like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
You now have a similar thing here in America, right?
Yeah, instead of having 700 dairy cows, I've got two cows.
A little more manageable.
Yeah, I got 2 Scottish Highlanders. Obviously, growing up on a farm, I never wanted to live in town. I just can't stand living in a neighborhood. So I moved to Yorba Linda, which is Orange County, which is like, Orange County is like one of the most popular, most busiest places in Southern California.
Yeah.
And I went, like I said earlier, I went from no traffic lights, none of that stuff. I went from roundabouts and stop signs to the 91 freeway, LA, wow. Orange County, traffic lights, stop bumper to bumper traffic for 2 hours when it's only should take you 15 minutes.
Misery.
And so growing up on open roads and stuff like that, moving to America, like to that area was definitely a massive shock. But obviously at the time I had a sponsor, so I lived with him and he gave me a truck to use and a bike and all that. So I had everything out there to use to get by while I was young, and I didn't have much money to my name. So I moved to America with 1,500 Aussie dollars and tried to make it work, and just getting sponsors and making it happen. And so I ended up, eventually 2016 came around, and I was at a good point where I got my credit score up, and I was able to put down a deposit on a house. And so I brought 10 acres out in the countryside, and I'd been riding out in this area a lot with friends. So it was kind of like, this is where I want to be. I want to be out in the countryside where how I grew up. I want to have a family, and I want to raise a kid out in the countryside. So this was like the perfect thing. I've been able to train in my backyard, having my own course. A lot of guys, when I first came here, I'd have to travel to go and ride people's backyards, or people are super cliquey with riding. So they might let you in or they might not. And people didn't really, I was kind of a threat when I first came. Yeah, they're super mean girls. It's a legit thing. And so
really?
I didn't really maybe being a country boy, I didn't fit in with their clique. And so it was harder for me to go and practice and ride with the top guys, because some of them didn't want me or didn't like me because they were threatened by me and I was competing against them.
They were probably just jealous of your accent, so don't worry about it.
Maybe. But yeah, so I ended up seeing this place out here and being able to have my own backyard, being able to just walk out my backyard and train. In Australia, I had places my parents, and so I could ride on my property all the time. And then moving to America, I didn't have that opportunity. So eventually, when I could get my own place, I was set on this area out here. And so then obviously got my property. I met my wife Kelsey, and then meeting her was kind of funny, because I never really thought I would have cows again unless I actually got back into farming, because I would love to own a farm again one day, like a proper big farm, maybe not a dairy farm, but some sort of farm, and be in that industry eventually, maybe, if it works out, maybe not. But she came to me one day, she's like, "Oh, have you ever seen Scottish Highlanders, these fluffy cows?" And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, could we get one? We have land, and you have a few dogs, and then we got some cats, and then now it's like, yeah, all right, we'll get a cow."
Might as well get a couple cows while you're at it. I mean, we've got the space.
right? So we
love it.
got one cow. We got one cow, and then that rolled on. And then she's like, "Well, he's lonely, so kind of need to have two, right?" So then we end up getting the second one. So we're at 2 steers right now. 2 boys, Scottish Highlanders, and got two cats, 3 dogs, and I think there's like 11 goldfish. No.
Are we adding more to this farm of yours? What's the plan?
Yeah, I think I'll just spread it out. Those cows are quite expensive. So, yeah, I think I
stay where we are for a minute.
Yeah, we'll just stay for a little bit. And then with the cost of everything in America going up, these days.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we don't have to go down that route, but we know why. Yeah, so having all the inflation and stuff like that, it doesn't really make sense right now when a hay bale costs, $28 to buy.
People can't get more cows right now, Joe Biden. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
We're really, we're hurting. People are
when
hurting, whether it's for the cows or something else. I'm just saying.
Exactly. When the cost of my hay and diesel goes down, we're onto something.
Yeah. See? Well, there will be a chance, I believe, to rectify that in the next 2 years. So, are you an American citizen, by the way? Can you vote?
Not yet. No. I'm
all right, Jared, we got to get on it.
I know. I missed the last one. I know. I'm trying. Trust me. All right. I was trying to be a big advocate back in the day, and you know how social media is. They tried to slow me down a fair bit. So, I've had to be a little bit quiet about my political views this time round. But a lot of my friends know. I know my friends and family and my supporters know where I stand. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm very politically outspoken, and yeah,
good for you.
It's kind of hard.
It takes some guts these days. Yeah, I mean they don't make anything easy, that's for sure. No. But you know what? I'm sure
I was trying to campaign. I had a graphics kit made, and I was trying to run X Games 2020 back then. I was talking to Junior about running a 2020 graphics kit when that was coming up, and then obviously it kind of didn't work out. He was talking to me a fair bit on Instagram, which was really, really cool.
This is my brother-in-law, Don. I'll tell him he dropped the ball. You leave it in my court then. Don't go through Don.
He dropped the ball, but I can't believe he even gives me the time of the day. That's what I think is.
Don't give him that kind of credit. Come on. This is crazy.
If I can give the Trumps any credit and good thumbs up, I'll do it right now. They need it. So
thank you. Well, we appreciate it very much. Look, I think that it doesn't get much cooler than you. Not only are you this like just completely awesome, dirt bike stunt guy with some cows like out in the wilderness in California. I love it. From Australia, no less. You love America. So look, keep doing what you do. I'm going to follow up with you. Here's what I'm going to say. I feel like you leave me in charge this time. 2024, we're going to get it done. And then we're going to invite my brother-in-law, Don, to watch you in the gear that I helped kind of manifest. So that's where I feel like we're going with this.
That might be pretty cool. That might be pretty sweet. Is there an opportunity, though? Can I meet the big man?
Oh, obviously. I feel like we should do some kind of a show of some variety. I want to see some of this stunt stuff in person.
I'll bring the ramps and the landings, and we'll do a show.
And I'll bring Donald Trump. I feel like that's a fair trade.
That is a trade. Definitely. That'd be sick.
Well, Jared, you're awesome, and we loved talking with you today. Thank you for spending some time with us. Keep just killing it out there, because I think people love what you do, and as long as you can do it, I mean, do it. Get this kid on a dirt bike soon. He's 14 months old, so I feel like he needs to break the record for what you were 2.5. Let's get him out there a little over 2, right?
I wouldn't doubt it too, because I mean, if you see him on his rocking Strider, like the bicycle that rocks, it's like
he's ready.
He's a madman.
He's
like
ready.
A straight up man. So it's like he gets around on his little push Strider that's got the 4 wheels. So he's right. He's doing better than I did, and I had a bicycle with training wheels, but my motorcycle didn't. I could ride I had to ride my bicycle with training wheels and
well,
my
you rode
motorcycle.
a dirt bike without. See, this is crazy.
Yeah. So like I could ride a motorcycle better than I could ride a bicycle when I was that age.
That's so interesting. So maybe my husband's right.
To go back on your kids, how you're saying you might need to get them on the bicycle first. Nah, skip it. You'll be right.
Straight dirt bike. Straight to dirt bike. That's great. Well, I'll call you from the hospital when we have some broken bones.
Look up a bike called a Stasic. It's an electric one. That'll give them the perfect entry into a motorcycle.
I feel nervous about this, but I'm going to look it up. I got a little heart palpitation when you said that, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to look it up.
It's a safer way, no gears or any of that stuff. It's a safer way to get them the feel of balance and the throttle, and then you can move them into a real motorcycle with the clutch or with gears and things like that. I'm
already sweating. I'm already in a full panic.
If you need a coach, let me know.
We know who to call. Jared, thank you so much. Good luck with everything. We'll check back. We'll get the whole show set up. We'll bring my father-in-law. It's going to be amazing. Jared McNeil, thank you for spending time with us here at The Right View. To everybody at home, as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next time for more.